Hey everyone, Nito here, and welcome back to another episode of Noteworthy Interactions. This is likely going to be the last episode of the Delirium League, so I wanted to make sure it's a really good one, chock full of a lot of interactions for you. It's a bit of a mouthful, but here it is. This is my power charge stacking, triple element LE hit, CI, Wander, Miner, Scion. So the main idea of this build was to build around the new keystone, Secrets of Suffering, which can be found on the Interrogation Small Cluster Jewel. What this does is basically replace all of the old elemental ailments with 3 new ones. So you can no longer inflict Ignite, Chill, Freeze, or Shock, and instead you get Scorch, Brittle, and Sapped. Now what Scorch does is it lowers enemy elemental resistances by up to 30% based on the size of the fire damage of the hit. Brittle applies up to 15% chance to receive a critical strike based on the cold damage of the hit, and Sapped makes enemies deal up to 20% less damage based on the lightning damage of the hit. So these are kind of like shock in the sense that the larger the hit, the larger the value of the ailment will be. So not every hit will apply these maximum values. So what we need is to be hitting for as big of a hit as possible to get the maximum values applied. And we also want to take advantage of all 3 ailments, so we need to be hitting with a lot of damage for all 3 elements. So one of the best ways to do that is by using Elemental Hit. So Elemental Hit has pretty high base damage for each element. It'll only hit with 1 element at a time, but it also has the line 10% more damage per elemental ailment on the enemy. And this includes all 4 of the old elemental ailments as well as all 3 of the new ones. So how do we take advantage of that? Since we can't apply Ignite, Chill, Freeze, or Shock ourselves, we can actually use minions to do it for us. The keystone does not prevent minions from applying those ailments, only you. So we use Summon Skitterbots to apply Chill and Shock, and then we use a Flame Golem linked with Combustion support to apply Ignite. So all in all, we're applying 6 ailments, which means 60% more damage for Elemental Hit. We also get to take advantage of Elemental Equilibrium, because Elemental Hit is guaranteed to only hit with 1 element at a time, and it will never repeat the same element twice in a row, so you can always have Elemental Equilibrium up. The other cool thing we're doing for this build is we are using the new Wandslinger notable, which makes increases and reductions to spell damage also apply to attacks while wielding a wand. And then we're stacking up power charges with a Void Battery to get a lot of spell damage. Void Battery is normally not a very good weapon to use with attacks because it has very low base attack damage as well as low attack speed. However, because of Elemental Hit's high flat base damage, we can kind of ignore the weapon damage. And because we are using mines, we can ignore the low attack speed. So I also have additional power charges on my helmet, as well as on my shield. So this is a synthesis shield, and the implicits are kind of random, but one of the implicits you can possibly get on this shield is +1 power charges. And then the helmet, you can get a +1 power charge corruption. I chose to go with this helmet just because it has a decent amount of energy shield, it has some resistance, has some elemental damage, and we already can't inflict shock, so we can kind of ignore the downsides of it. The other cool thing is that Oxium Belt gives 30% increased elemental damage with attacks per power charge. So with 9 power charges, which we have, this belt alone gives 270% increased elemental damage with attacks, which is pretty insane. And it also has a ton of energy shield on it. And we are a CI build, so we want as much energy shield as possible. We're also using the Machina Mitts gloves, which make mines able to leech life, and they also give increased recovery rate of life and energy shield per power charge. So again, lots of power charges means lots of recovery from that. And then lastly, we're using Badge of Brotherhood to make our maximum frenzy charges equal to our maximum power charges. And we're using charged mine support to get 10% increased mine throwing speed per frenzy charge and 25% increased crit chance per power charge. So with 9 frenzy charges, you get 90% increased mine throwing speed, which is a ton of throwing speed. for any mine build. And one honorable mention is that we can take advantage, if we wanted to, instead of the Mocking Amidst gloves, you can take advantage of Painseeker gloves, which have the line inflict non-damaging ailments as though dealing 198% more damage. So basically it triples the value of your ailments that you're applying. And it does have the line critical strikes do not inherently apply non-damaging ailments, but after some testing I discovered that Secrets of Suffering, which makes critical strikes inflict Scorch, Brittle, and Sapped, actually overwrites the mod on these gloves, so you can apply all 3 of the new ailments while wearing these gloves. However, the Mine Leech is just too good not to use for this particular build, so I ended up liking these gloves a little bit more. And yeah, just note that we're not using any of these combat-focused jewels because we want to be dealing damage of all three types for elemental hit. So yeah, I figured I would just try to do a quick showcase of the build. This is a Forge of the Phoenix map. And yeah, let's see how this goes.
That felt disturbingly good.
This is all an illusion.
I have nothing more to give.
Write a mighty poem about it.
So there you have it. The Secrets of Suffering, Ellie hit, triple element CI Wander Miner Scion power charge stacking build. It's pretty awesome. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.